The thing I like best about Mom is cuddling with her in bed, and when she reads me stories.
Yay. Good morning, everyone. This video is going to be quite different from what you're used to on this channel with the travel vlogs and Christmas movies. This is going to be a ranking of all the movies that I saw in 2025. So I saw a lot of movies this year, like a lot, and I wanted to review them all. If I didn't see a movie that you really liked, I'm sorry. I didn't see Weapons, I didn't see The Long Walk, I didn't see Tron Ares, but I don't think anyone on earth liked that. But without further ado, let's get into my 2025 movies ranked. Starting in dead last at 28, we have Captain America: Brave New World, or as I like to call it, Bad New Movie. So the worst thing a movie can be is boring, because there are bad movies that I still enjoy watching. But a boring movie that is also bad sucks to trudge through. This was a hugely disappointing movie to me, as a Marvel fan and a long-time Marvel fan who was invested in the character of Sam Wilson. I was one of those kids who thought Marvel movies were like peak cinema, like, nothing could be better than this. I'm so excited for the next Thor, instead of actually watching real movies. And to be fair, there's a lot of really good Marvel movies. There's just like such a huge quantity now that there's more bad than good. Against all odds, I had high hopes for this movie because the original Captain America trilogy is genuinely very good. But unfortunately, just when you thought, how could Marvel possibly produce another thing lacking in substance, they make a 17 years too late sequel to The Incredible Hulk starring the new Captain America. It's such a shame, really, because Sam Wilson does have great storytelling potential. However, we are unfortunately left with a half-assed plot filled with a bunch of poorly executed Marvel tropes we've seen a million times before. In the movie, Sam Wilson is basically a loyalist to a corrupt president, which kind of goes against what Captain America is. And I get that there's something there with the Isaiah Bradley stuff, like there's something about like this old Captain America that was abused by the government, but they pretty much dropped that plot thread. By the end of it, the story is basically equivalent to a wet fart. It's just so stupid. It sucks eggs.
He's out of line, but he's right.
I am Steve.
Okay, realistically, I probably didn't have to say anything. Like, this movie sucks. It's a joke movie. And you know, I went to see this movie with my friends, excited about like the whole chicken jockey aspect of it, and then no one even did anything. So the entire point of going was kind of disrupted by the lack of our theater going crazy. I did like when the big potato chip from the factory that the character, I believe her name is Natalie, works at, like when that falls down because her brother like hits it with a drone or something. That was very entertaining. That being said, that's pretty much the only reason it's above Captain America.
Steve's lava chicken, yeah, it's tasty as hell.
That was Mr. Miyagi's favorite song.
Okay, this new kid Ben Wang is a pretty entertaining performer. I did enjoy the parts of him going on his own journey. That being said, this movie is stuffed with substanceless garbage. They honestly would have been better off just doing another Karate Kid reboot than trying to tie both of the franchises together, and it's such a slap in the face to Cobra Kai fans. You know, I love the Karate Kid original trilogy, and I love Cobra Kai seasons 1 through 5 until they kind of crap the bed with that last one. But this is just disrespectful. They had the opportunity to like really make this movie an event for Cobra Kai fans, and then Daniel LaRusso doesn't even mention any of the events, and he's in the film for no reason, and they have the audacity to put Johnny Lawrence in a post-credit scene instead of just making him an actual character in the movie. Daniel LaRusso is literally in this movie for 20 minutes, and everything his character does doesn't really matter. It is useless. Okay, obviously it's a Jackie Chan movie, so it's got some good action scenes, but you'd be better off watching any other action movie ever. This movie sucks.
It's not the Miyagi-Do way!
So this movie's not amazing, but its commitment to the campiness of its actors' performances is pretty entertaining to watch. It's got Will Poulter, Paul Rudd, that guy from HBO's Girls. It's basically about pharmaceutical companies being evil, and it's not like breaking any new ground, but it is entertaining to watch a movie that has a message that I agree with, but nothing to write home about. I would say this movie plays kind of like a good streaming movie. Alas, another Marvel movie I was severely disappointed by. Granted, this movie is gorgeous. I'm sure it'll get like a scenic design Oscar nomination at least. But I mean, it really didn't tell much of a story. There's a point in this movie where they have like everyone on Earth agree to turn off the lights at the same time so that Reed Richards can like make an invention. And it doesn't make any sense. I know you're supposed to like suspend your disbelief because it's a comic book movie, but like there are good comic book movies, you know what I mean? Thunderbolts, another Marvel movie we'll cover in this, has less cool stuff in it, but works better as a functional narrative. The entire first act feels like an extension of the trailers in a bad way. Like, it continues to be a trailer for itself as it goes on. It's probably objectively the best Fantastic Four movie, but I'd still rather watch the old ones, just not the 2014 one. I'm sorry to you Pedro fans, but he is miscast here. He's way better in Eddington or Last of Us or the million other things he was in this year. The Mole Man stuff is weird too. It feels like they cut like 30 minutes of plot that they just expect you to accept. The third act is undercut by the fact that obviously no one dies. This movie is to set up for an Avengers movie, which I think is its biggest fault. Hell, they set this movie in a different universe from the MCU at the beginning, like it says Earth whatever at the beginning, and it has nothing to do with the multiverse. So there's like no reason to designate a universe aside from like, hey, there's gonna be a sequel to this. It's like, okay. The third act feels extremely derivative of Avengers 1, which came out 13 years ago, by the way. If you're big on Fantastic Four lore, I could see you being excited about this, but it really didn't do anything for me. Like, as a movie, what are we doing here? Johnny's arc. Oh, there's a girl in space who I like. I'm gonna try and be like her. Ben's arc. I'm sad, but not enough for the movie to care about it. Pedro's arc. I'm really smart. Decisions are hard. Sue's arc. We're a family, and I'm gonna have this baby, and we're still gonna be a family. Hell, the only person with an arc at all in this movie is Silver Surfer. If slightly above Avengers Age of Ultron is your Marvel cup of tea, have at it, but personally, I think we should expect more from our billions of dollars franchises. This movie would honestly be higher on my list if it wasn't a remake. It's one of the first remakes that I really didn't think was that offensive to me. But that's because How to Train Your Dragon is already a good movie. The reason it's so far down on this list is because there's nothing you could gain from watching this that you wouldn't get from watching the original film. I remember this thought I had while I was watching this in theaters. I was like, damn, like this is pretty cool. If this came out in like 2011 or something, like people would love this franchise. Oh wait, it did, and they did!
There's a new Marvel out that's supposed to be nuts.
I know this one's like the Marvel favorite of the year. It's okay. Like, I get that they're talking about mental health and stuff, and that's cool, but they don't really talk about mental health. And it's not even the best Marvel project in recent years to tackle mental health. It tries very hard to emulate the first Avengers movie, which it succeeds at, I guess, if all the Avengers were a strong guy or a spy girl. The cool thing about the first Avengers is they were vastly different characters coming together. Whereas in this one, you got David Harbour, strong guy, Bucky, strong guy. Sentry at least has kind of something. Yelena Belova, spy, Ghost, spy, Taskmaster, spy, John Walker, strong guy. It acts like bringing these people together is like a cool thing that we asked for when it's not. I was like, oh wow, some guys. One thing I thought was hilarious from this movie is the gravitas they try to give like their legacy characters like Bucky. Like, don't get me wrong, I like Bucky, he's a good character, but don't play like this epic music to introduce this character coming into the scene and it's like, okay, it's Captain America's friend. Wow. Die My Love is the point of this list where the movies become technically good. Personally, it's not my thing. I won't deny that the performance from Jennifer Lawrence is amazing, but the content was kind of hard to watch for me because it's all about postpartum depression, which admittedly I don't like have any experience with or know much about. Watching Lawrence's character continue to relapse and destroy her life and hurt the people around her with no clear resolve makes it kind of a grueling watch. Roofman is okay. It's a perfectly charming movie, but when all is said and done, it's not very memorable. It's kind of like Night at the Museum if there was no magic. It's a true story about an escaped convict written by him from jail who would rob McDonald's through the roof and lock the workers in an icebox while he robbed the place. But apparently he was really nice and he was really aware that like they were gonna get the cops there and they were gonna be fine. And he was like really sweet about everything. He still robbed them! And the story is cute because Channing Tatum is so charming, but at the end when they show you pictures of the real guy, you're like, this is a bad person!
He was that friend.
Look, I'm a Tim Robinson fan. That being said, I don't like every single thing he does. This movie to me felt like an I Think You Should Leave skit that kind of outstayed its welcome. Now, I don't feel this way about the HBO Max show Chair Company, which you should totally check out. And I'll keep coming back for Chair Company, and it's a long-form Tim Robinson thing. This just wasn't for me.
Do you wanna build a snowman?
So I've never seen the original Naked Gun, but I was really charmed by this one. The snowman scene alone was one of my favorite movie moments of the year. This movie falls apart during the second half, but the first half is really entertaining. It was cool to see an old style comedy in a movie theater with like a packed audience who was all laughing along together. It was like really like the true cinematic experience you look for in that regard. And that's not something you get super often these days. This movie was pretty decent. It's a detective noir, suspense thriller-esque mystery, kind of like Eddington, which we'll get to. It's an intriguing mystery, but it's nothing that hasn't been done before. Great performances, some interesting shots. I remember when I saw this movie at the theater with my friend, it was like 4 p.m. on a Sunday, and we walk in and these girls were like making out furiously in the seat in the front row. And then when we left, one of them was asleep on a chair, and one of them was asleep on the floor. What was going on there? That's the real mystery. Me and my friend, who I go to see movies with, kind of made fun of this when we saw the trailers, but it ended up being really entertaining. It's about this guy who dies. He's an old guy, and he basically goes to heaven and dies. It's like a terminal where you can go to your afterlife, and you get to pick which afterlife you go to. So he's gonna stay in the terminal and wait for his old wife to die, but when she dies, it's revealed that her ex-husband, who died in the Korean War, has been waiting for 62 years, and she's gotta pick which guy she's gonna be with. I appreciated how much they did with the locations they filmed in. You could basically make this movie if you had access to a hotel, a bar, the mountains, the beach, and a suburban home. This movie is a deep character study on a Japanese immigrant actor from the United States called Philip, played by Brendan Fraser. He's acting in commercials and he's kind of looking for his big break. Finally, he gets involved in this company called the Rental Family. The Rental Family provides people with experiences. For example, one of his first jobs is marrying this girl in front of her family so she can run off and be a lesbian. She doesn't want to face her family's judgment, so having him provides a service. So the clients will basically pay for people to show up in any given situation. So Philip gets caught up playing this girl's father, and of course he actually starts to have a connection with this little girl, and then, you know, it's gonna fall apart when he has to tell her that he's not her real dad. It's cool to see Tokyo through a seemingly honest lens. I haven't seen a lot of stories about Americans immigrating to other countries. Philip is also hired to be a fake journalist for this Japanese Hollywood equivalent legendary actor, showing Philip what the life that he so desires could possibly lead to. It's revealed at the end that this is actually a real popular service in Japan that has existed for years. It's a pretty beautiful film.
Beat him so bad that one more time!
This is the first of 2 Safdie brothers films that came out this year, and unfortunately, it does not even come close to touching Marty Supreme. But they're very similar movies. I don't think the story material here is all that gripping, and it's a great performance from The Rock, but it's not like I think he deserves an Oscar for putting on hair. Wow, it's The Rock's big Oscar bait movie, and he's playing a wrestler? How did he get into character? This must have been so hard. Wow, what range. The editing and the cinematography here definitely put everything together for me. One of my favorite sequences from film this year is the national anthem sequence in this before the final fight. Genuinely a pretty beautiful movie, but kind of meh on story. This movie's like an Avengers movie. It's only good if you've seen literally all the other ones. This is not true of the 6th one in this series, Mission Impossible Fallout, which is just a solid, awesome movie. This one's first half is a bunch of fan service, which if you haven't seen the other movies, you're probably like, this sucks. But for me, as a Mission Impossible fan, I was like, unfortunately, with the end detonation and chase scenes side by side, it just starts to feel like a duller copy of Fallout, so it's not exactly breaking new ground. Well, except for like the giant underwater submarine fight. That was pretty cool. You know, I'm a real sucker for when they go to school in this kind of crap. And I generally think that the first act of Wicked is better anyway. I loved part 1, like the movie, but part 2, it kind of fell short. That being said, there are some really awesome sequences in this movie. No Good Deed's amazing. I watched it again recently when I was going to the bathroom during my second viewing of Marty Supreme, and I caught it in the theater next door. For Good, the song is good. I feel like they kind of overused Ariana Grande in this, and the songs that they added are awful. People make the argument about how the first Wicked movie didn't need to be as long as it was for what it was adapting. This movie did not need to be this long. But you know, the closet scene, I was crying, I have a soul, but seeing the characters evolve into such dreary versions of themselves so quickly just kind of bums me out. Man, I love this movie. And I love this movie because during my teen years growing up, DC was putting out dog shit movies. Of course, with some exceptions every now and then, like The Suicide Squad, and The Batman and Peacemaker, which I guess is a show, but still like DC. And I've just been waiting to have like a superhero event movie that I'm excited to go see. Like, No Way Home was a cool event, but it's got so many flaws, and the same with Deadpool and Wolverine. It was refreshing to have a big screen Superman movie that's all about being a good person. As far as superhero movies of the 2020s go, this is a very earnest story. For the first time in 50 years, we have an amazing Clark and Lois dynamic. David Cornsweet and Rachel Brosnahan are amazing in their scene where they're just arguing with each other. Again, to have such an earnest interpretation of these characters versus the slop that was being churned out when I was a kid. Sorry if you're a fan of Henry Cavill, but this is inarguably better. I mean, look, I'm a James Gunn guy. I like Guardians of the Galaxy. Big whoop. Nick Holt is also awesome as Lex Luthor. I remember, like, he was the one I was the most nervous about going in just because I only think of him as Hank McCoy in the X-Men First Class movie, but, like, you know, he's grown up. This movie suffers from having to do a lot of world building. As much as James Gunn likes to go on threads and say, oh, these are all separate movies, they're all gonna have merit as movies, we really didn't need to have the whole Justice Gang, Green Lantern thing in this movie. Overall, I'm just happy that the kids that I teach during the day have a role model in Superman as a good person who does good for the sake of good.
Everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked.
I don't think the acting in these movies is amazing, especially with Spider. Geez, he's starting to get on my nerves. But I mean, you go to these movies for the visuals and the music and seeing something in 3D for the first time in 10 years. Like, I would never watch an Avatar movie at my house. Dear God, I would never watch it on my phone. But as an event movie, it's cool to go see in theaters and get immersed in the world. There's a hilarious sequence where Quaritch does psychedelics with the scary fire avatar lady. It was kind of like this movie's version of the infamous photo. The story itself is pretty gripping, but the visuals do a lot of the legwork here. The most interesting part of this movie is when Quaritch and Jake Sully have to kind of team up and work together. The last 20 to 30 minutes start to feel very samey with the end of the second one. Like, we gotta get on the boat, we gotta get off the boat. Okay, people got taken, they're on the boat, we need to get on there. Okay, we got taken, oh no, they got off the boat, but they have to come back on to get us, and we're gonna go off the boat, and we're gonna go back on the boat, and then we're gonna go off the boat. James Cameron loves that crap, and it gets a little repetitive, you know? There is something to how detailed and long-winded this depiction of colonization of another planet is. It is interesting in that regard. But maybe we don't need to see every little confrontation? Really Wes Anderson, which can be a lot for me. I also watched his second film ever, Rushmore, this year. Phenomenal. I love that because he was still taking different film techniques and developing his skill, whereas this seems a little bit masturbatory. This is the epitome of Wes Anderson. Don't get me wrong, he's interesting, sleek, and engaging to watch, but it became a lot at times for me. I kind of preferred Del Toro in his supporting role in One Battle After Another. One of my personal favorites of the year, not that I'm ranking these purely subjectively. It's a small budget movie based on a small Stephen King story, but Tom Hiddleston, Mark Hamill, even that kid played by Benjamin Pajak, really great performances. This movie is deeply moving. You really don't need to know anything going in. It's told backwards in like 3 different chunks, but it still makes you feel like hopeful and good about life by the end. My friend and I cried next to each other the entire movie. This is an adrenaline rush. This film has got style, it's extremely suspenseful. It's like Ozark if the main character was just like an average Joe and wasn't like a genius. So it's like, this person is completely and utterly screwed. This movie has a lot to do with baseball, which I don't really personally care about that much, but I still managed to enjoy it a lot. Another one of my favorite movies of the year. It's got everything you want in a suspense thriller. Austin Butler's amazing in this, which I was really like put off by him in Eddington going into this and then loved it. Zoe Kravitz's performance, phenomenal. The trailers did not do this movie justice if you saw any. Highly recommend this for a night in or something.
Smashdown!
This movie was a little overhyped for me. Not that it's not good, it's just not like the most amazing movie you'll ever see. However, it's grown on me with time and I think I would enjoy it more on a second watch. It's a very entertaining ride, and Benicio del Toro's bit is peak cinema in my opinion. My main thing here is Leonardo DiCaprio does not deserve the Oscar for this. There are way better lead performances to be highlighted this year. Sean Penn for supporting role, maybe. It was a pretty entertaining role to see him in. He's like the super evil man. And the road scene? Oh my god, I have not experienced so much suspense on the road in my life. Sinners is awesome. It's not higher up on this list because it begins to lose me personally a little bit with the vampire thing. I think if I had seen this around Halloween when I like to watch scarier movies, it would be higher up on my list. But the music and the cinematography and the colors and Michael B. Jordan playing two different people, but the real stars here are Miles Canton as Sammy and Wumi Masaku as Annie. Really love to see that Ryan Coogler didn't get trapped in that Marvel machine Hollywood cage and can still make something awesome like this. This is a very unique film and one of our first big cultural representations of COVID and what it was actually like to live through. Eddington is a mystery suspense thriller that takes you on a journey through political perspectives, biases, and contradictions in a slightly more nuanced way than one battle after another. The main character, Joe, played brilliantly here by Joaquin Phoenix, who I do think deserves the Oscar, is a misunderstood man who misunderstands. He's caught in a cycle of conspiracy BS between his wife and his mother-in-law, yet you can't help but sympathize with him a little bit. By the time he is objectively a bad person in the movie, the story has an ironclad grip on you. It's sort of like watching a car crash that you can't look away from. Pedro Pascal is also awesome in this. It doesn't just feel like he's playing himself like it does in most things these days. And by the time you get to the scene from the poster with the machine gun, it just rocks. There's also great commentary on blind activism and what causes it, what it is born out of, and what it may result in. Great movie, definitely got slept on this year. Check it out if you can. It's on HBO Max.
Oh, no, not the beast!
Begonia was so good that I asked my mom to get me a Christmas gift that was just a sweater that said Begonia. It was easily my favorite film of the year when it came out, but it got surpassed by two other movies, which we'll get to here in a second. I would argue it has the greatest musical score of the year, composed by Jurgen Fendrix. Apparently, Lanthimos gave him the words bees, basement, Emily Bald, and spaceship to go off of, and he composed this brilliant score. Watching Emma Stone, I was just like, God damn, we take this actress for granted. She should be racking up Oscars yearly. Talk about an actress who just puts out S-tier performances over and over again like it's nothing. Truly one of the greatest actresses of her generation. Jesse Plemons too. That's right, Todd from Breaking Bad is now one of the greatest actors ever. I think he genuinely at least deserves a shot at Best Actor. What a masterful performance. And even Aidan Delbus, who plays Jesse Plemons' cousin Don, Best Supporting Actor. This movie's about two cousins with mental issues who are abandoned by their families that convince themselves that Emma Stone, this high-up corporate girly, is an alien from the Andromedan galaxy. And they kidnap her, and that's what happens. That's the preface for the movie. Yorgos also shot this movie amazingly. It's amazing how you can make a suburban, messy house look beautiful. All the shots of Teddy on the bike with the music, just thinking about it makes me want to watch the movie a third time. Highly recommend this one.
But what is grief, if not love persevering?
Okay, these last two are kind of tied for best. I would say Marty Supreme barely inches past the finish line just because it has that rewatchability that Hamnet kind of lacks. But we're gonna talk about Hamnet. This one was a pleasant surprise. At the start of this film, I was like, is this gonna be some boring Shakespeare crap that I just do not care about? Am I going to hate this? And then you just get so pulled in and moved by the story. I think it's a great reflection on grief and how people have different forms of grieving, and I love that it postulates the idea that none of these forms are right or wrong. Neither form of our main character's grieving is less valid than the other. Jessie Buckley delivers an amazing performance in this. I was kind of halfway through the movie thinking, Paul Mescal, he's kind of okay. Then it cuts to Paul Mescal in London as Shakespeare, rehearsing Hamlet relentlessly. He is also amazing in this. The story culminates with the first production of Hamlet ever, with Jessie Buckley's character arriving to watch. She is so angry at first, this guy missed his son dying because he was here doing this crap. And then as it unravels, she realizes that this play was the medium for Shakespeare's grief. By the end, your heart is just fully taken a beating. It's not one I'll revisit soon just because of the emotional degradation, but if Jessie Buckley doesn't win an Oscar for this, it's a snub. Wonderful, wonderful movie. Marty Supreme is a near-perfect movie. Like I said, it's pretty much on equal footing for me with Hamnet in terms of quality, but man, as soon as this movie was over, I just wanted to watch it again. With a score and soundtrack that rivals Begonia because they put literally the best song ever in it, Marty Supreme delivers on all fronts of the cinematic art form. That being said, Marty is not a person to aspire to be. A bunch of toxic men are gonna watch this movie and be like, that's exactly what I need to be like. But Marty is a piece of shit. However, the movie frames his narcissism as a sickness. He physically and emotionally cannot move on until he has achieved his goal of being the greatest ping pong player ever. And Timothée Chalamet, bravo! He, like Marty, knew this movie was destined for success. And it is the most successful A24 movie ever. Easily the Safdie Brothers movie winner of the year. Sorry, Benny. I think the big difference here is that this movie has a secret, crazy plot. Marty Supreme is sold to you as a ping pong movie and ends up being this insane suspense thriller about 30 minutes in. And it just keeps going, man. I was never bored for a second of this movie. Whereas The Smashing Machine is kind of sold to you as what it is. And granted, there's some domestic abuse drama, but at the end of the day, it's like, this is a wrestling movie about a wrestler. Marty Supreme is a beautiful critique on the American dream. The final conclusion that I've taken away from it is that to succeed in the capitalist society that we've built, you must sacrifice all morality and dignity, which, looking at where we're at, is not that far off. Wow, yeah, that was a lot of talking. To wrap this up, I'll give you my personal contenders for Best Actor, Actress, Supporting Actress, and Picture. For Best Supporting Actor, Miles Catton in Sinners as Sammy. Sean Penn, One Battle After Another, Colonel Lockjaw. Akira Imoto, Rental Family, Kikuo Hasegawa. Benicio del Toro, One Battle After Another, Sergio. Aiden Delbus, Begonia, Don. Best Supporting Actress, Zoe Kravitz, Caught Stealing, Yvonne. Emma Stone, Eddington, Louise Cross. Wumni Masako, Sinners, Annie. Maya Maya Threapleton, Phoenician Scheme, Sister Liesel. Tiana Taylor, One Battle After Another, Perfidia Beverly Hills. Best Actress, Jennifer Lawrence in Die My Love, Grace. Emma Stone, Begonia, Michelle Fuller. Jessie Buckley, Hamnet, Agnes. Haley Steinfeld, Sinners, Mary. Cynthia Erivo, Wicked for Good, Alphaba. Best Actor, Timothée Chalamet, Marty Supreme, Marty Mauser. Paul Mescal, Hamnet, William Shakespeare. Jesse Plemons, Begonia, Teddy. Joaquin Phoenix, Eddington, Joe. Michael B. Jordan, Sinners, Smoke and Stack. God, the actors category is stacked this year. Best Picture, Begonia, Marty Supreme, Hamnet, Eddington, Sinners. Come on. And then lastly, there's just some movies I saw this year that didn't come out this year that I wanted to share and give Rex for. Rushmore, already covered it a little bit earlier. Great movie. Groundhog Day, really entertaining. Really nostalgic, still brings me back to when movies were kind of like that. Piece by Piece, the Lego Pharrell Williams biopic, shockingly good. That Thing You Do, watch the extended edition, it's one of the best movies ever. The Big Short, if you know nothing about the stock market, this is really helpful. American Psycho is also really good. The Frisco Kid, the only Jewish Western and therefore the best one. American Fiction, really, really great story about what it's like to be a black author in modern society. 10 Things I Hate About You, literally the greatest teen comedy ever. The Holdovers, one of the most beautiful Christmas movies you'll ever see. And Merrily We Roll Along, which is a pro shot of the Broadway musical that they were airing in AMC this year that genuinely would have destroyed the top of my list if I could count it as a movie. But yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching this completely different thing than what I usually make. Please put in the comments what your favorite movie of the year was and why, or your least favorite movie of the year. And if I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.